Hey guys, here again with Hood Talk with professional trader, world's most interesting man. We're going to come up with a lot of different titles for you over the time, but this is Hood Talk. So what's going on, Chris, up there?
Hey man, I tell you, snowing in Canada. They told me when I immigrated from Africa that this place was close to Mexico. And when they said that they holiday in Mexico, I was like, it can't be that far. Got to have the same weather. And I looked up Mexico and it had like sunny skies and beaches. And I look out here and all I see is snow and sludge.
Yeah, someone lied to you.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why they need 300,000 people a year just to keep things afloat. You know, hey, we're close to Mexico. We'll give you a free trip to the Dominican. You know, it's nuts.
So
it's
what
nuts.
is it?
I have two cars. And I just had to run out in a flimsy shirt to move the car because things you don't learn about in the third world is how snow melts in a car, on a car, in a garage, and turns into ice.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's crazy. And if you're an arthritic geriatric like I am, this is heaven. You know, this is crazy stuff. So
yeah, we've got some snow down here in Kentucky, and it hit us all of a sudden. So I put the windshield wipers up so that they don't freeze to this. There's little tricks.
Yeah, I haven't learned that one yet because my windscreen wipers actually did freeze this morning. So
if you think it's going to freeze, if it's snowing, drizzling, freezing rain, just put your windshield wipers up. That way, when you scrape them, they won't be like solidly nailed to the dashboard or the windshield.
When I wake up and I see white and it's light, it's like nails on a blackboard for me because I've got to get up at like 4 o'clock. I've got to do a 40-minute warm up before I can even grab a shovel. You know, it's just, it's harder than a jiu-jitsu class, you know, shoveling.
Shoveling's never, I always think it's interesting how, like in these horror movies or gangster movies, they show somebody and they're like, we got to bury this body. And they show a guy dig like a 6 foot to 8 foot deep hole, and he's not even sweating afterwards. It took him 5 minutes. I'm like, no, you've never dug a hole before.
The hole itself is absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, and the rubble is all neatly piled in a really nice little ziggurat. You know.
Yeah, there's some little movie moments where, if you've done any kind of physical labor ever, you're just like, you call bullshit on it. You know, it's like, it's hard to get.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, talking about bullshit, how is this market?
It's interesting, man. Like it's just raging. And it seems like there's a disconnect between reality and the market. Do you see that at all?
Absolutely. I mean, I was looking at some stocks the other day, and obviously, you know, my opinions on Tesla, right? You know, right. A cult of personality is not always a good thing to invest in. And I just did a quick thing, and I looked at this and I was like, wow, you know, when is this a normal situation? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you some statistics and just, this is just nuts. Okay. So here, can you let me share my screen?
Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right. We'll blame the snow in Canada.
I'm not a tech person, so here we go. Should be good to go now.
All right. So check this out. Now, obviously, people have made a ton of money. All right. This thing has been raining dollars for a good 8-9 months. All right. So nice to go in. We've got this $100 billion overhang that's going to be sitting in the market around December 18. They made an announcement that says they're going to be buying these Tesla shares all in one go. So expect this to be a pretty volatile time, you know, to the upside, all right, for the next couple of weeks until this goes in, because now everyone knows that these guys have got to buy in and this is the date that they're going to include it in the index. But here's the interesting thing about Tesla is that it's still a car company. You know, this is not Amazon. This is not Google. It's not Facebook. This is a car company. And one of the first things that you have to do as a car company is make money selling cars. And they don't. So this is where it all becomes a bit of a rub for me, because I look at it and I go, well, at some point, this bubble has to pop. It has to. There is no way that this can continue as long as it's a car company. Now, if it was a tech company and it was like an Amazon or a Google, and people looked at it and said cars are a byproduct. You know, cars are not their primary business. They're a technology company. Maybe their valuations can be justified, but for a car company to be justifying a valuation of 1,000 PE, this is the crazy thing. It would take 10 lifetimes and a little bit more to get your money back just based on Tesla's business today, right? So
are they? So they're not branching out into anything except cars, right?
Well,
I mean, are they doing anything else?
I think that, if I look at their business, I go, okay, if cars are the way to capture the client, maybe there's a way in which you can extend the influence of your product into that consumer's life, So I think they were thinking this when they were doing Solar City and they were putting panels on people's houses, and they could see the connection between the batteries being done for the solar power and the batteries being done for the cars. And, I could see that, let's not get me wrong here. There's definitely value to be had, but a PE of 1,000, that is exorbitant. I mean, it cannot be justified on a company this size. You know that this company is the 6th largest company in the S&P 500.
So what do you think that's going to do to the S&P 500? I mean, how's that going to influence it?
My view is, I think that the volatility of the whole group, because remember, if Tesla's going in, something's got to go out, right? So it can only be 500. So that's the first thing. So something with a lower volatility is being replaced by something much bigger with a higher volatility. Now, as an options trader, I love volatility. So I'm thinking, well, this will be good for people like me. I'm not too sure it's going to be good for people who don't trade options or don't trade the way that we do, right? So I just say,
like just
at some point,
buyers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think so. At some point, this has got to pop. This is more about the person than it is about the company. I think there's a lot more of I hate using the word, but there's like a cult of personality. And
right.
It reminds me of a period about 10 years ago where Berkshire Hathaway and Warren, every time Warren said something, people would drop what they were doing, absorb every word, and then copy it. If Warren spoke, the Red Sea parted kind of thing. That's where we were with Warren's personality. And when you have a cult of personality in a company, it's very, very dangerous to put your money in there, because at some point that the luster starts to disappear.
Right.
You don't know when it's going to be.
Or a scandal or something,
Absolutely. So I'm a little nervous about the valuations that they have on this company. It's a great car. Like, don't get me wrong. I've got a buddy who took me in one of these cars and I was like, man, these things are fantastic. They really are super cars, but he can't make money selling them. He needs the government to sit there and go, hey, here's an incentive payout, right?
Right.
Now, what happens in a market like China, where you've got multiple manufacturers? China's the big pollution problem, right? So they are majorly pushing electric vehicles. Tesla only has a 16% market share in China. And that's where...
What are some of its competitor companies in China?
We've got NIO. I looked at these cars the other day because my son is a bit of a car fanatic. So he likes looking at these cars. He says to me, Dad, just show me the interior. He doesn't care about the performance. He just wants to be sitting in luxury. But I suppose if you're 8 years old, that's what happens. NIO, we've traded this one quite a lot and quite extensively up this channel here. A little bit of a pullback here. This is nice to see. You don't really want to be seeing stocks that are just trailing this upper Bollinger line too much. You do want to see this pullback to the moving average. So this was good. Nice to see. A little bit of selling pressure at the moment. I think that the EV bubble in its entirety, I think that there's a lot of questions being asked. This is just too much, too soon, too quick, too fast. There's too many.
These things have gone up just...
Yeah, I think that this here is a little bit too extreme. So NIO is one. XPeng is another one. So we did a deal on this one 2 weeks ago. We did it as a day trade. We entered it and we got a 40%er on this one. Also, nice pullback to the moving average. We could see some price stabilizing over here, maybe a continuation of the trend going forward. Li Auto is another one. worth looking at. Also, nice pullback. This was a bit more extreme. It did fall through the moving average, but recovered really quickly. And that will give you a bit of confidence that the moving average is where a lot of the institutions are going in and buying. So I like the look of this company as well in the EV space. Here's a big disappointment. This one here is just, they've done a deal with General Motors. Massive selling yesterday, 20% off the books. It was just gone. GM basically said that they were going to downsize the deal that they were doing with Nikola. There were a couple of hedge fund guys that were shorting the stock, basically accusing the CEO and chairman of fraud and all sorts of things and saying he should be in jail. And, whenever I read this, I go, okay, you have to understand what position they have first and how they're going to make money.
Right.
So, then
those
you can.
those companies like Citron Research and they
Yeah.
publish things in order to scare people away so that they can make money on the short.
Yeah, Citron actually wrote a paper on Neo, which stimulated that first red bump over here.
Mm-hmm.
And you would obviously think that with a company like Citron, coming out with something, that this would have been a much bigger sell-off, and it wasn't. So it was good to see this recovery here. It's really nice from a sort of trading perspective to see this sort of pullback and then move laterally across the moving average. That's a great sign for us. So I like this company. We've got a number of positions.
Make money out of it.
The one I do like as well is this one. I have to say though, ugliest cars I've ever seen. Right, my son and I were both like, nah, we're not going to be doing this. I think this is the one that's the tricycle. It's like a three-wheeler car. It's really ugly. Sorry if any of the people here work here, but I'm not sure I'm going to be buying one. I want
to
for the looks.
The only car that I've seen that I actually want, like I just have a Honda CR-V. I'm a pretty basic guy, but I did see a 1974 El Camino Super Sport with leather interior. I almost bought that.
Now you're talking.
I like old muscle cars. I think that's the wave of the future for me.
But you see, you're young. You can do that. If I drove a muscle car, I would just look stupid. I mean, I don't think getting out of a muscle car with a cane or, asking your wife to hold your arm while you try and straighten your back, it's not good. My personal favorites are 1976, 1978, 280 SL Mercedes two-door, the one that had that old steering wheel that had the double steering wheel, the two rings in it. Oh man, I googled it the other day and it was like $120,000, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. I'll just stick with my hybrid Camry for the time being. It's the closest I'm gonna get to an electric vehicle.
Well, the thing is like everybody has their thing that they like to spend their money on. Mine's not cars.
Yeah.
I just want something that's dependable, that I can drive. I don't have to have any special tools to work on. I mean, I don't actually ever, I like to just, if there's something like, let's say my car broke down and I wanted to jump the car, right? Battery's dead. I don't want to need a special tool. Like my wife has a BMW and I tried to jump my car one day and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know how to open this. Like, they're not really made to be user friendly for people that are, you're supposed to take them to the shop. I like something that has exposed battery terminals so that I can jump the car if I needed it.
Yeah.
Because my battery.
My best car, I personally love the Volkswagen Golf TDI. That was my favorite car that I ever had, was a diesel Golf. I used to fill it up with gas every sort of 6 weeks. It was fantastic to drive.
It gets a commanding presence on the road too. People just get out of the way when you come down in there.
Well, they think that the farmer is coming in his tractor. That's the problem with these diesel cars. Everything's. I didn't know I was on an agricultural side road, and along comes this little Golf, pop, pop, pop. And no, I switched up to a hybrid Camry, and man, I tell you what, my wife and I have a competition to see who can get the fuel gauge to read below 4 liters per 100. We're at around 4.4 now. So whoever drives it has to bring it back. It's got to be around 4. Okay. I'm the slowest driver in my town. All right. When they see my car coming, even pedestrians can overtake me because I'm trying to get my fuel reading down. So
it's all about efficiency.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's funny you bring up efficiency. You know, one of the conversations I had this week with someone was the efficiency of trading properly in a market. And you'll be amazed at how many guys are going into the market with single tool strategies. You know, they go in with one trade type
Mhm.
and they land up trying to force feed that tool into the market without really understanding what's going on, the moving parts, the charts, nothing. And they'll end up getting burnt. And there was a situation yesterday. I have some charts here to look at. One of them was, if you look at the VIX yesterday on the 30-minute chart, I'm just going to add a little analysis tool there. If you look at the 30-minute chart of the VIX yesterday, you see this little two closes below the lower Bollinger. This is one of the most important signals to look at if you're looking at day trading, right? Is to watch the 30-minute chart for the VIX, because when you have two closes below the line, these are on the line, right? These are on the line, below the line. Two closes below, you are almost guaranteed there will be a reversion to the mean, right? This thing's going to reverse and it's going to be painful. And what did we see? Bang, we went straight back right up to the top. As soon as it hits the top, we have one close above the top, it comes all the way back down. And you have a lot of retail traders that are sitting around on, you know, naked put strategies and things that aren't hedged, and, you know, unlimited risk type of strategies, because those are the easy ones to sell. You know, a lot of,
So is this something that you like to look at, you know, for data for other things, or do you trade VXX much?
only for, I don't trade VXX personally. I find it's an easy trade if you can get it, you know, at the right trend, but it's a useful thing to watch when you're looking at the market in general, right? So when you look at the market condition and you want to know, well, you know, people will go, well, futures are up. Well, big deal. You know, like, so what if futures are up? Futures could also be down. You know, it's such a binary comment. You know, it's up. Okay, so what? Why? You have to go and look at some of these drivers that sit behind the futures. Well, what's driving the market up? Could the market be up for the next hour and down later? Could it be down now and up later? And all of these other little signals are there to tell you what potentially is going to come. So if we're sitting there and the index is dropping at the mark, you know, it opens lower in the morning, we've got a declining VIX below the 30-minute line, or the Bollinger, and we've got, you know, the advanced decline ratio is looking small, looking thin, right? You have more stocks dropping. Your ticks are very negative. If your ticks are negative, all right, and that just shows the extent to which buyers and sellers are in the market. If it's negative, the selling is deep. This thing could get worse. And if you see the index rising, while these things are showing it should be declining, you can call bullshit, right? It's like, no, don't get fooled. Mainly for day traders, all right? So if you're a day trader, usually you'll have 15 to 16 graphs on your screens, and you're watching them in real time, and you can see them the relationship between them. And, you know, most times you can call bullshit on an index movement, because you can see that there's not a lot of buying going on, or not a lot of selling going on, or you can see that things are going to reverse pretty soon.
So like
The other
one
thing,
signal can be really misleading. Like the outcome, like the market's up or down, the futures are up
I
or
think the one that can be the most misleading is the put call ratio for my view, because it's a contra indicator. And what you'll see is a lot of retail people will go in and go, everyone's buying puts, let's buy puts. But actually, what you should be looking at is the contraindicator nature of it, right? If everyone's buying puts, that's the time you want to be buying calls, because there's going to be a reversal coming up, right? So a lot of retail guys who, you know, if you go on Facebook nowadays, and if you've ever clicked on one of these trading advertisements, and all of a sudden your feed is just trading advertisement after trading advertisement, you know, I sometimes watch these ads just for fun, to have a look and see the kind of stories that they can sell. Like, you know, I'm quite interested to see what they have to say. Man, I just feel sorry for a lot of the people who buy this stuff. It's like, I call it stock porn, because, you know, Yeah,
Yeah.
you get into it, and
Guys,
a guy will tell you, hey,
bars, you
yeah,
know.
a guy will say, hey, pay me, $49 a month, and I'll give you 8 trades a week, kind of thing. But those 8 trades, finding ideas and all of that stuff is actually pretty simple. It's not hard to work out the easiest way to find stocks. What's hard is how to manage those positions. You put that trade in, and the guy tells you once you've done it, you're on your own, and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose every time.
Well,
It's not
that's what I like about. I mean, I've been trading with you you've been coaching me for close to a year, and I like the way you teach how you're not just giving things. You're actually, there's a lesson in there. Every time I get an email about a stock or something like that, there's an actual lesson as to why. So you're
yeah.
just teaching how to do it, how to trade, how to manage it, all that stuff. That's pretty valuable.
This is where I think, if you embark on a trading sort of plan, right? There's certain processes that have to be followed. If you're not admin intensive, I've got a couple of clients who will say to me, oh, administration and data is not my strong point. And I look at them and I went, but that's nothing to laugh at. I said, one of these guys is a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
And he said that to me. And I said to him, let's put it into the context of jiu-jitsu. What you've just said to me is you can only fight from one position. And that one position is all you will do. So let's assume for the conversation that you can only fight in turtle. All right. You're on your hands and knees, and that's your position. That is everything you just love that. And all of a sudden, the guy comes up behind you, puts his arm over your back, controls your arm, and takes your back and flips you over like a tortoise, right? So now you're like a tortoise with your legs in the air, and
That's just reverse turtle, Chris. That's reverse turtle.
reverse turtle. Sorry, I'm still a purple belt, so I haven't learned the black belt language.
People call it back mount. Just reverse turtle.
Reverse turtle. Okay, so now he's got reverse turtle. He can't stop the fight at that point and say, "Hold on, I have to switch this because this is not what I'm comfortable with." And in jiu-jitsu, we try and get good at all the ranges, all the games. You've got to know that, and it's like trading, right? So trading, if you go, well, I don't really like looking at charts, well, best you learn or don't do it at all, because if you don't know charts, you can't outsource it. You can't say, oh, well, I'll let that guy read it for me. No, it doesn't work like that. Chart reading, the more you do it, the better you get. Jiu-jitsu, the more you do it, the better you get.
Well, it's amazing. I'll get the same thing with jiu-jitsu students that come to me, and I've had, actually, this is really funny because I've had these kids, they're usually, like younger people, but also adults, and they come in and they're like, well, I have a mixed martial arts fight next week. I want to come in and learn jiu-jitsu. Like, I want to learn how to defend submissions. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. It's like a power up generations. It's one of these things, like they think I can download all this information into them and they've got 1 week to practice it. I'm like, you're probably better off just not training hard and not getting hurt. Like, that's your main problem. 1 week out from a fight, you should be resting.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing with trading. I get guys coming in and going, you know what? I got $250,000. I want to make 50 grand a week. Okay, and the first thing I say to them is, how much are you willing to lose? And they go, I don't want to lose anything. I go, well, then how are you going to make 50? And they go, well, you're going to help me. I can't do that. I'm not a magician. What I can do is I can give you a process that if you follow it consistently over time, we could get you to that 50 grand a week. We start off at 5, show me that you can do 5, and then we get 10 and then 50. And so we build. It's funny. I think where a lot of people fall over with trading is that it's an incredibly ego-driven business, right? So everyone wants to be the best trader at the barbecue, right? So everyone wants to say, I made 500% on this and 600% on that. But no one ever stands up at the barbecue with a hot dog in their hand going, I lost 19 grand on that stock. No one does that, right? So I think a lot of people are influenced by that. So your social circles tend to, create FOMO. It's like, well, my buddy over there, he made $5,000 on the stock and I sold it. I made 100. Can I get back in? Well, why did you get out? Let's rather look at why you didn't make the 5,000, fix those problems first, rather than trying to look for a new trade. Because I can tell you, the amount of opportunities that I've seen in the last week is probably the most I've seen this year. This last couple of weeks, there's been more opportunities than I've had capital.
I've been doing really well this past couple of weeks, so I like it. It's yeah, nobody wants to talk about, no one wants to talk about their losses, although I actually like to talk about my failures, because then you have a chance to talk about what you learned from it. And I think that's far more valuable than someone who just completely toots their own horn all the time about how much they won, what, whether it's jiu-jitsu or, what, any or trading or whatever, any aspect of life where they're all constantly, I did this. And then, but like, if you talk about your failings and then what you gain from that, I think that's much more important and more valuable to people.
Well, in trading, one of the first rules that I have with people is you've got to monitor the success rates per trade strategy, right? So if you're doing long calls and the market condition starts to turn, maybe it's below the 20-day moving average, it's above the 50, it's above the 100, but below the 20, long calls start becoming a little bit dodgy, right? You don't really want to be doing long calls in that market. You want to be doing debit spread. So you're hedging yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're legging into trades and you want to see it going back above the 20. Some people don't have that approach. What they do is they oversize and they go, well, I took a visual of this graph. Let's pull up one and we'll go through it. So I've got some stocks that I like. Here's an interesting graph. People will go, oh, well, this is going up, bottom left, top right. It's above its moving averages. Let's just stick a couple of tools on here.
In there.
Yeah, so let's have a look at this. Oh, yeah, this is a really nice graph to trade. So what would you do with it? And the guys will go, oh, well, I'm going to buy a long call option. They don't understand implied move. They don't understand direction. They don't understand Fibonacci. They're just going to pick one. So 90% of the time, they'll pick an at-the-money call. This is the Robin Hood ones, right? So most of those Robin Hood guys tend to do this. They go cheap, out of the money calls, and they will start, hoping that they're going to win. Now, the thing that you've got to look for when you have a strategy or you want to apply a strategy is you've got to understand where the stock could possibly move towards. All right. It's no use buying a long call on something if the stock is drifting sideways, right? So if the stock is just drifting sideways, you're just going to be eroded to zero. And that's just silly, right? So what we would do is we would go into our Fibonacci and we just want to have a look at, sorry, let me just screen this up a little bit here. We go into our Fibonacci, we go to the previous high. So I'm going to use this one just for now. And you'll see if this is the high and that is the low there. You can see it's a little bit compressed because it's quite close in time. But watch this. There's something really interesting. If you just visually look at this graph without the Fibonacci, you'll pretty much assume that this thing is drifting sideways. There's a high, there's a high, there's a high. But it broke this 100% line. The price is broken through the 100% line. The next price target is the 61.8, this 50.11 price. So this is why we did the trade yesterday. We went in, we did a bull call debit spread. What if I'm wrong, right? I don't want to be risking too much money. If this thing goes up 20%, we're going to add another leg. And if it goes up another 10 above that, we might buy some shares. We might actually add some shares today. Right. Because when the stock starts to move up, you want to look at your delta. I want to be able to get delta on this position. That's the change. I want to make some money out of this. Sometimes just buying an out of the money call option gives you a delta of like 15 or 16. If this stock bounces in price, you're not going to get that much, right? It's not going to be that useful. So try and look at your deltas. Try and concentrate on things that are going to make you money as you capture that trend. So APPS is definitely a stock that I've got on my watch list for this week. Lots of buying that happened here. If we go look at some fundamentals, Um, you know, the irony of this is we were trading the stock back when it was around 387 2 years ago. You know, and now it's sitting up at 46. And I phoned one of my clients and I said to him, have you still got these shares? Tell me you have, because I've got a GoFundMe box outside my door now. You know, it's to help during COVID. I said to him, please tell me you've got those shares because you can sell half of them and give me something as a tip. And he's like, no, I got out at 10. So, you know, these guys, unfortunately, you win some, you lose some. But this is a really nice graph. I like this company. Really interesting business. It's done well. Okay, a little bit overpriced, but it's 10 times less than Tesla. So, you know, could actually land up being a decent trade worth looking at. So apps is definitely on my list to watch.
Is there anything, just to kind of, I just wanted to ask you what you think about the sort of the vaccine plays, anything that's coming out. I was just reading, I know you do a lot of biotech trading and you're really familiar with that. I was just reading some things this morning, just kind of catching up a little bit on the news about Moderna and Pfizer and Novavax, you know, with the different vaccines. Any ideas on those?
Man, I tell you, we've been in mRNA since May. We bought this right at the beginning of the crisis. We're up about 140% on this. I mean, it's one of my favorite stocks in the biotech space. I'll put a complete disclaimer on here. Any medical thing I say, disregard completely. So, you know, I've got no medical background whatsoever. You know, I like this company. It trades really nicely. It's probably one of the nicest stocks to do bull put credit spreads on. So I tend to do that. I buy the stock and then I'll reduce my average price. Look at this. This is classic bull put spread territory. All right. It just chops around. And what you do is you sell them out 40 odd days. You look at your trend line at the bottom. You know, if you'd been selling the 53 or 54 bull put spread, 54, 52, just consistently doing that, you would never have been assigned. You would always pretty much win on those trades. This is just phenomenal, right? So from a trader's perspective, this is a great stock to have. We've been in it since May, somewhere around here. And now it's up here. Great stuff. NVAX was another one that we
What do you think's going on now? Do you think this is gone up too fast, too far, too fast?
I don't know. I think, you know, you've just got to wait for these pullbacks. I would always say don't buy a stock that's going parabolic, right? This is not healthy. If you're buying up here, inevitably it's going to come back here. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you could be doing naked puts somewhere around 126. You know, if it's worthwhile paying for it, if you're looking to buy the stock, at least you can wait for the price to, retrace a little bit. But I like the fact that in biotech, the reason I like biotech is this. It is the only industry that can give you 10 to 12 times your money. No one else can do that. You can't get it in telecoms. You can't get it in utilities. You're not going to get it in real estate. This is the sector that will turn people into millionaires and millionaires into billionaires. All right. This is where it is.
There's some crazy returns on these stocks. I mean, some big moves.
And this is the big issue. Out of all of the industry, there's probably only 13 or 14 companies worth trading. You know, and this is the hard part. It's the same thing in gold. I think it was Mark Twain that said, a miner is generally someone who just stands next to a hole in the ground and convinces you there's something in there, or something like that, right?
Right.
You know, it's a liar standing next to a hole in the ground or something. Gold is the same. So gold and biotech are my two favorite industries because I think finding the nuggets where you can actually win are easier than going into like the tech space or something. So, you know, in gold, my logic is this. Does it have proven reserves? Are those reserves easy to extract? So what's your cost of extraction? And if the cost of extraction is X and the price of gold is Y, well, there's your margin of profit, right? So you're looking for guys that have got growing reserves that are cheap to extract. Finding that out is not difficult. You know, that information is pretty much public. So it's easier to work out what are the good gold mining stocks. Biotech on that side, I try and approach it from a personal experience thing. So, you know, I've had family members get cancer. I've had family members get Alzheimer's. I've had family members who have colon issues. I'd rather do, buy into companies that are doing research into solving problems that are a little closer to my heart than,
Right.
I don't like these esoteric kind of things, so
You just kind of look out for different catalysts about like
yeah, you can easily find, who are the top 5 biotech companies doing Alzheimer drug research, and a little bit of digging. You can look at the company's financials. You can calculate their burn rates of cash. The thing with these companies is that when they hit price peaks, and mRNA did it over here. No, they did it. I think they did it over here. They issue shares, right? So this is the big problem with biotech firms, is when they get to price peaks, they tend to issue stock. And that tends to push the price down quickly back down to the moving average, which we had here. And then, it will drift along, and then everyone starts to recover, and then it boosts up again. INO was another one. We traded this one quite a lot as one of our recovery stocks during the sort of COVID recovery.
I don't have any vaccine candidates right now.
No, the INO is not really on the vaccine side, but they were quite a volatile stock on the recovery going back up. I think I had a couple of clients that really overloaded on this one over here. Long calls, stock, the whole shebang. I think I had one client who made a 5-time return here.
I really wouldn't want to be holding that at 34 right now. That would be bad.
Oh yeah, this wouldn't have been a buying stock opportunity. The buying signal would have probably come in, around about there.
There's some poor people up there with that.
Oh yeah. Oh, think of the poor people who were shorting. Just let's take it for a quick question here. Shorting Tesla. All right, so people who were shorting Tesla, there are a couple hedge funds last week. I think the bath they took was around 4 billion, just for last week. And I had one of my clients call me and saying, he's really convinced that he wants to short Tesla. And I was like, man, it doesn't matter what you think. The market's going to tell you whether you're right or wrong. And right now you're wrong. So whether you think it's overvalued or undervalued or whatever it is, just don't do anything. Let the charts tell you when it's time to do something. So INO was something that we traded. It's on our books at the moment as a bull put spread. I really like these kind of patterns that we form over here. When they get really thin, buyers and sellers are neutralizing. And I think if you couple that with a bit of a momentum breakout, we might be able to see some movements on INO. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see the TTM starting to spire here on the daily chart. So I wouldn't be surprised to see INO at a higher price over the next 3 to 4 days, based purely on this. When you see these little green bars starting to form on the histogram here, that's telling me that this is going to be coming out of compression. So I like INO. It's not on my watch list for the week though. I wouldn't be watching it for the week. I do like Bitcoin. GBTC is probably the cheapest way for any retail investor to be buying into Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin, I think there's a lot of hype.
This is a pretty new instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pretty new. I like the way that they've done this. It's directly connected to Bitcoin, right? So it's not like a paper asset per se. It's direct ownership kind of ETF. But buying it at a price of $23, I think it's 1 to 900 or something like that. The ratio is something where you're just earning a fraction of a Bitcoin is much nicer than buying a Bitcoin by itself, because the liquidity issue here is it goes into my brokerage account. I don't need to create some form of digital wallet that, I can't even use an app on my phone. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do crypto mine nonsense. I don't know.
I've been meaning to try to learn more about cryptocurrency.
It's like a completely new language for me, but I understand the economic behind this. And I think that just putting this in, in our reinvestment portfolio, we do gold, we've got those gold mining stocks and silver mining stocks. We've got a couple of these, we took we exercised some options and got some risk-free shares pending the deal today. We've got biotech, gold and silver are our pretty major reinvestment vehicles. I want to add Bitcoin into it. I think that Bitcoin is a nice diversification tool. I think that it operates almost like an anti-inflationary kind of hedge. Jury's still out on that for me. I think that the economics behind Bitcoin are a little like Tesla. There are these converts and preachers and all of them, and they're going to punt it as much as they can. So I like this one. It's an easy thing to buy. It's simple into your brokerage account. Just buying a little bit every week is a reasonably clever idea. Another one that I like at the moment are these guys. This stock is it's like the picks and shovels for the cannabis industry.
Okay. I'm in a debit spread on this, bull debit spread on this.
Yeah, this one I like. I think that, let me see where we are on this one already. GWG. Yeah, we're up about 45% on this. We've got 2 bull call debit spreads. I've taken a bit of a longer term view on cannabis as well. It's, there was that initial hype that came out. Everyone wanted to get high. A lot of people did get high. Oh man, I have to say, as a patient that suffers from arthritis, man, it was a blessing. It's really good. But the problem is that you've got too many people growing this stuff now.
Right.
So it's becoming like any other commodity, sugar, corn, whatever. So I would say that the guys who are going to be making money are the guys who sell the picks and shovels. These are these guys. So I like these guys. I think that these guys are going to be a reasonable one to hold. Nice momentum firing off here.
I just had a quick question just about the lockdown status of Canada. This is totally off topic and tangential, but been meaning to ask you this. Have they? What's going on there now? Like we're continuing to get more lockdowns and stuff here in the United States, like different cities, different states.
The hard part, I think here, look, I lock myself down in my room for 17 hours a day. My wife also tells me if I walk out of the room, I need to wear a mask for some reason. I think she doesn't like my beard. So she's like, cover your face. I think here they've got this sort of like one under complete lockdown where I live. It's sort of one underneath. No restaurant dining, gyms are, controlled. I don't think that they're all closed. The issue here is it's a fine line between schools remaining open and small businesses surviving and stopping COVID, right? I don't think you can do both. So, we've been seeing increasing numbers. We're certainly hearing more and more stories of younger people dying. There was a 40-year-old guy in Edmonton, I think it was, or in Alberta, who got diagnosed on a Tuesday, and he was dead by the following Thursday. The week next,
he had pre-existing health conditions? No, or
nothing.
Healthy.
Nothing.
That's
there was also a triathlete in the town where I live. There was a really well-known guy, fit triathlete, no issues, and he died in a week, I think it was, and that was right at the beginning. So
now,
I don't know. I think
do your lockdown, do all those orders, is it set up more as a federal thing and not a provincial thing? Correct?
No, provincial.
Okay, so it's
the provinces control it. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of like the states here. We don't have we don't have federal mandates. I mean, the states always give a lot of pushback, and there's different states are open to different degrees, so it's a little hard to tell.
I think we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen the half of it. I think that the biggest problem here is I being a jiu-jitsu guy, I am, I'm very much around the idea of your immune systems are strong because you grapple every day and you've got germs floating around you, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also conscious of the fact that jiu-jitsu is more than just a physical outlet for people. It's the PTSD and, the social thing.
There's a
And
big cost associated with it. I mean, I was just thinking about like it's starting to get cold and dark, and I'm thinking at every house in the United States is going to end up being like a version of The Shining, with like Jack Nicholson. Everybody's going to be axe murdering each other. I mean, I'm just sitting here and it's like getting dark earlier and earlier, and nobody's out, and you're just kind of locked in. Everybody's working from home, and I mean, how long before you just start typing the same thing over and over?
yeah, or playing the same music
Yeah,
over and
all
over again.
work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
I think this. I think Christmas carols are the bane of my life. Okay, so my son on the 1st of December, the TV service provider here has this Christmas channel, and it plays, karaoke versions of all the Christmas songs, and he puts it up loud because he knows I just don't like Christmas that much. I'm a bit of a Scrooge when it comes to Christmas, and hey Dad, listen to this one, and he'll belt off in the wrong key, the whole song, and then him and my wife will join in, and it's Boney M, relentless on a Sunday. I think if I hear Little Drummer Boy and Rasputin one more time, I might go mental. I mean, it's the reason I'm a bit of a Scrooge is my birthday is 2 days before Christmas. As I was growing up, I would get one sock on my birthday, and I'd be like, what am I going to do with one sock? And it would be every year, my family would say, shut up. You're getting the second sock in 2 days. Just be grateful you got a sock. And when you're 10 years old and all you want is a little Nintendo and you got a sock and you got to wait 2 more days for the second sock, it can be pretty damaging.
Yeah, I always wondered about the people who have like the gift giving holidays and their birthday, and it's like nobody, poor guys.
Oh, it's horrible. I never had a birthday party. My son goes to his friends' birthdays. I have more fun than him. I'm like, get off the jumping castle. I'm throwing these 8-year-old kids off the jumping castle because I want to have a go, because I never had a go when I was a kid. So get out of the way. And all the parents are like, who's the weird guy with the beard, on the jumping castle, top rope, Eddie Guerrero, WWE, coming off. I'm the guy doing DDP, slams and, all of that on the.
I never had any issues with the birthday dates. I remember that one of my old jiu-jitsu instructor's birthday was on September 11th, and he was just like, man, now everybody's going to be sad forever on my birthday. It's like, it was,
that's a bad one.
Yeah. Something happens on your birthday and it's tainted.
No, that's
so.
Yeah, no, I can't think of a worse one.
Yeah, it's tough. Let's.
When is your birthday?
I'm in August, end of August.
That's pretty good. You're almost like mid-year. It's like you get gifts every 6 months.
I planned it that way.
Man, that I screwed up. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe, look, I'll tell you this. My mom makes a wicked deviled egg. And I've got a feeling that I came out early just so I could get the deviled eggs.
Nice.
Man, my mom, bless her soul, she does the best deviled eggs in the Southern Hemisphere. That's for sure.
So let's kind of go into just 3 quick questions here.
Yeah.
Your biggest play, say, for the next couple of weeks. You mentioned a couple of things. What would you say if you had to pick one that you're really watching that you think has the most potential?
I honestly have to say, I think there's going to be a bit of a speculative run on Tesla. If I have to be honest, I think the only thing that puts me off is pricing, and I wouldn't want to be in it for too long. I'm a big fan of the stocks that I've listed over here. So apps, I think, is going to have a good run. I think the Bitcoin one is going to do well. I think GRWG is going to do well. This is another one that I really like, is Labu. Labu being a triple leveraged biotech stock, I think there's going to be more and more attention being passed on to the biotech space because of the need for it to solve the COVID problem. This is a phenomenal chart. This is really, really nice. If you look at that chart, just over the last couple of weeks, that is where we want to play. In between the top of the Bollinger and above the 8-day moving average. In this zone here, play the trend. a long call, bull call debit spread, can't go wrong. I think that one there, 90 days out, 77 delta, look at the implied move. I think that would be a good play to have. I like this one as well, Service Now. Also, really nice, strong graph. Let's just put on some of our analytical tools. You can see this explosion that's just started to happen over here on the daily chart. So I like this. I like this momentum that's coming up. What I want to see is the little red dots disappear and a few more green histogram bars coming up. I like this positive crossover as well, this bullish crossover. Really nice little chart coming over here. So I like this one as well.
So let me cut let me cut to another thing. I'm just going to give you three random questions, kind of unrelated. They're all related to trading.
Okay, go for it.
So that was the first one. So we got a couple of things to look at. What do you think, for all the people out there that are new to trading, like what is the biggest mistake that new traders make? What's the one thing that you think that of all of the people that send you emails, that you've coached, that you've experienced, all the mistakes you've made over your life, what do you think the biggest thing is that makes people blow their accounts up?
Over allocation. So sizing wrong. They tend to not understand the correlation between probability of reward and scale of reward together with the cost of the investment. All right. So if something's got a 200% potential, you downsize the opportunity, you scale it lower. You don't oversize that because your probability will be less. So there's probably a few that all link in. That's one. Number two, exiting too early. They let their P&L drive their activity, not their trading plan. So they look at a position and they go, oh, it's up 20%, let me go. But their original plan was to hold it till it made 100%. Right. So not following their own plan.
Not being patient, I guess.
Absolutely. And third, and I think this is probably number one, all right, is taking stock tip advice from an Uber driver or friend at a barbecue. Biggest no-no. If you don't have an acceptance criteria of how you're going to place trades into your portfolio, you will land up with a portfolio of crap. And once you've got a portfolio of crap, it's hard to get rid of it. So you have no criteria on what stock you're going to be trading, what value of stock you're going to be trading, what type of stock, what industry. You don't have any of that. You just have, Bogdan, my buddy down there, who's a Uber driver, said I should buy this stock because he's made money and his friends have made money. You're the patsy. All right. If that happens and your taxi driver is giving you the tip, it's too late.
Yeah, I don't understand why people take advice at all from anyone who. Sorry, there's a quote. I'm just looking for this on my phone because I downloaded it, and my wife sent it to me. Let me see. I can't organize anything. It was. I will find it. Anyway, maybe I won't. But it was like, never take advice from someone who hasn't done what you want to do.
Very good point. It's a very good point. I think that in trading, it's particularly prevalent because of social media. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are in chat groups and WhatsApp and all of this stuff. And, person A will come in and say, I made this. And the guy who didn't do that is going, oh, I really want to do that. So next time he says something, I'm going to do what he does. But I just think that you've got to learn to become pretty unemotional about this stuff. This is not a lifelong marriage. I don't get married to stocks. I trade the charts. I don't try and form a relationship with apps or Now or Tesla. I'm not into that. All I care about is the result at the end of the week. And, if I'm hitting my numbers, I know that I'll hit my goal at the end of the year. And I don't need my tips from the Uber guy. I have multiple ways of identifying opportunities that fit my criteria, which may be different from yours, but they fit me. And I know that if I follow my rules, I will achieve my numbers. So I think those are the best tips for beginners. It's like, have a plan, trade your plan. If you practice your plan and you see it's not working, don't, when I say practice, I mean paper trade it. If it works with paper trading, do it for real. If it doesn't work in paper trading, do not put money in it, because it's not going to work for real either.
Right.
Sometimes there's just this logic, and I think people get overexcited.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people come in like, oh, I want to do, 20 grand a week and, all of that stuff. And within 6 months, they break even. If they're lucky, they break even because they've oversized, gone rogue, off the chart.
I did a little bit of that early on. I'm getting.
I remember that.
All right.
You were just lucky that you were lucky I lived in Canada. Otherwise, I would try and beat you up. But then
I know. There's that distance. I don't have to worry about you stalking me and hiding outside my house with a hammer.
You have your safe space there in Kentucky, Brian.
All right. Third question. Totally random, right? If you had a pet iguana, what would you name it and why?
Brian Jones.
That's very flattering.
Do you want to know why? Because
Why?
he has an ass on his wall.
Stop looking at my ass, Chris. You've been staring at it. I see you looking over my shoulder. It's there.
Oh, isn't there a song about that? I see you, baby, shaking that ass. Do you remember that song? Or maybe I'm too old.
Maybe. I might. So, pet iguana. I don't know if I'd want a pet iguana, but.
No, I wouldn't. I am not a bug person at all. In fact, I am petrified of anything with more legs than me that I wouldn't eat. Would I eat a dog? No. But
you have to feed it like all kinds of weird insects and stuff.
I'll send you a picture of the insect in South Africa that has brought Herculean people to their knees. It makes grown men cry and shudder. All right.
There's a lot of poisonous animals there, aren't there?
Oh yeah, we've got loads, but not as bad as Australia.
Yeah, like really about Australia, and it's like everything that's dangerous is either Australia or South Africa. Like if it's
South Africa, no, not so much. Australia, yeah, because there's nowhere to go. What are they going to do? Walk to Malaysia? Like, no, these guys are stuck on an island down at the bottom of the world. I mean, some of the things I see, these pictures of spiders the size of a car.
Yeah.
No
thanks.
No, in South Africa, there's only one insect that will destroy your ability to even think about things. It's not poisonous. It's just the ugliest creature ever made. All right? I want you to Google this. It's in Wikipedia. It's called a Parktown prawn.
Parktown prawn. I got it.
Do you remember there was a movie, District 9? That movie that came out a couple of years ago.
I saw that. The sci-fi movie.
And I'm going to put the accent on, but the guy that was the lead actor, he used to say things like, "We got to go and kill the prawns." He had that rolling R. Kill the prawns.
Yeah.
Those aliens were modeled after this insect. And I'll tell you a quick story before I go. I lived in a house that had a door that opened onto a garden. And these prawns, they're like locusts or crickets, but they're big and they're sort of like a burgundy color. They are built with a Tesla-like armor. All right. This stuff is ahead of its time. It's indestructible. These things don't die. They don't die. They're almost like my father. My father and mother are like these things, because if there was a nuclear war, my parents would survive. Like my mom and dad are pretty robust. Okay.
Right.
So I don't like these things. I've never liked these things. I don't touch them. I will take a broom and swing a golf club or swing like a golf club at these things and tee off on these things. It gets pretty hot in South Africa. So I'm lying on my couch one day in my little shorts, chilling out.
Like South Africa too.
Yeah, this little thing, okay, hops and it goes boing, 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 and it boings through my security gate into my house. You do not do that. I back rolled in my little shorts over the couch and I rolled into the kitchen. All right. Now I'm in the kitchen and this little thing is in my lounge. I can see it. It's walking across the carpet. And I really don't like these things. So I'm like, out, and this thing's not going anywhere. So I'm like, that's it. I'm calling the big guns. And I grab the Yellow Pages telephone directory. It's this 600-page monstrosity. It's like an
No
encyclopedia.
young person knows about those anymore, you know. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. This was back in those days, you know, when ox wagons were sort of on the road and everything, right?
yeah.
I picked up this massive book and I threw it at this thing. And honestly, the whole time and space continuum slowed down. This prawn got up on its back legs like this and gave me the bird. It flipped me 2 birds. This book hit it flat. I thought, he's dead. He's dead. And it was like a cartoon. This prawn sort of, wow, like this came out of this thing.
Overhead press. Oh,
Bench pressed the 600-page yellow pages off. He was like, you know, one of these WWE superstars who's just been, you know, fake slapped. He came out and he squirted this black ink. It's terrible. I don't know if it's ink or poo or whatever it is, but he squirted it all over me. I had no shirt. I had these little tight white shorts on.
Oh man.
Scarred for life, my friend. Scarred for life. That
Don't-
day, the next week,
that prawn marks you and you're his property. If he's still alive, he owns you.
the following week, I applied to move to Canada. I'm like, I'm done. I am out. I'm gone. The first thing I looked at when they said, you want to immigrate to some other country? I'm like, I'm going to Canada. Why? They don't have prawns.
I'm going to check this out.
But it's minus 40 in winter. It gets to 25 feet. I don't care. I don't care. These things, I never want to see.
Close to Mexico.
Horrible.
You can just go down to Mexico whenever.
Well, apparently it's only 5 hours away and it has tropical beaches. I mean, I'm looking out my house now. It's like snow. It's horrible. Anyway, my friend, this has been an awesome conversation, man.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to the next one, Chris.
Awesome. Have a good day in the market. Stay safe.
All right. Take care.
Man.